Welcome to this explainer on Madurai. Locals affectionately call it Tunga Nagaram, which literally translates to the city that never sleeps. And it's said to be kept awake by the watchful eye of its fierce warrior princess, the goddess Meenakshi. Today, we're going to dive right into an incredible hub where hard, cold historical facts and vibrant living myths beautifully intertwine. We're going to see exactly how this city straddles two completely different worlds, a massive, wealthy center of ancient global commerce and a deeply mystical landscape built entirely on divine miracles. To really wrap our heads around Madurai's sheer scale, we actually have to start with a truly staggering number, 100 million. That represents the 100 million sesterces that the Roman philosopher Pliny the Elder claimed were absorbed annually by India, China, and Arabia. But here's the absolute kicker. Pliny recorded that nearly half of that immense Roman wealth poured straight into India's south, right into the Pandya kingdom, whose capital was Madurai. I mean, try to picture that for a second. The royal treasury and local merchants were practically swimming in Roman currency. Madurai wasn't just some local capital, it was an absolute magnet for ancient global wealth. And recent excavations at Keeladi, which is just outside Madurai, completely back this up. It proves this was a massive global economic powerhouse. The exchange of goods was just incredible. We're talking fragrant pepper, shimmering pearls, intricately carved ivory, beautiful textiles, and precious beryl flowing out of the city, while luxury goods and literally thousands of Roman coins poured right back in. And this bustling trade? Well, it was all made possible back in the 1st century BCE when a Roman sea captain named Hippolus first figured out how to sail to India using the monsoon winds. Those winds literally blew immense prosperity right to Madurai's doorstep, completely transforming the local economy. But Madurai wasn't just exceptionally wealthy. It was an incredibly vibrant intellectual capital, too. Because, let's face it, you don't get a society this rich without it funding the arts and the minds of its people. From 440 BCE all the way to 200 CE, Madurai hosted the last of the legendary Sangams. Imagine this, a centuries-long summit of the absolute greatest minds of the ancient world, all gathering to debate, write, and critique. The result of these massive gatherings was a huge outpouring of great Tamil literary classics that actually form the foundation of Tamil literature to this very day. So what's really fascinating is that this blend of intellect and magic is actually baked right into the physical design of the city itself. On one hand, you have the massive rebuilding of the city by the Nayaka dynasty in the 16th and 17th centuries. They strictly followed the Shilpa Shastras. These are rigorous ancient treatises dictating the exact, precise rules for temple architecture. But then, on the other hand, you have this rich local legend that says the city was guided by Lord Shiva himself to be laid out as halasya, which means a coiled serpent. According to the myth, the snake marked the outer boundaries of the town and coiled itself so its mouth and tail perfectly met at the very center of the city. And right there, at the exact center of that serpent's coil, sits the breathtaking Meenakshi Temple complex. It spans a massive 14 acres. It's crowned by 14 towering gopurams, which are these heavily decorated, incredibly intricate gateways. The tallest of these gopurams reaches an astonishing 50 meters into the sky. To put that into perspective, that is roughly the height of a 15-story modern building. And remember, this was constructed centuries ago without any modern machinery. These are the most elaborate towers in all of South India. And they were built to reflect the Tamil tradition where palaces were actually built in the form of temples for the gods. And the human kings, well, they merely ruled on their behalf. Now, this magnificent temple belongs to the warrior princess Meenakshi, and honestly, her epic life story is the very soul of the city. The legend goes that a childless Pandyan king performed a yajna, a sacred fire ritual. Out of the flames emerged a 3-year-old girl with 3 breasts. A prophecy stated that her 3rd breast would vanish the moment she met her destined husband. They named her Meenakshi for her beautiful fish-shaped eyes, and she grew up to be a fierce warrior. She actually launched a Digvijay, a massive military conquest, marching all the way to the Himalayas. There she encountered Lord Shiva. Instantly, her 3rd breast disappeared. She had finally found her equal. And their majestic celestial wedding? It's still celebrated today, every April and May, drawing global crowds and even live television broadcasts. It's a huge deal. There's also this incredible romance and deep local affection embedded in these myths. Take the story of Shiva's cosmic dance in Madurai's Silver Hall, which is one of his 5 cosmic dance halls. Now, usually, Shiva performs his dance of bliss, the Anandanatanam, with his left foot raised. But a highly devoted earthly king, Rajashekara Pandyan, was terribly worried. He thought that keeping the right foot permanently grounded during this eternal dance would eventually hurt the Lord's foot. so he prayed with all his heart. Hearing this pure, genuine devotion, Shiva miraculously shifted his stance and danced with his right foot raised instead. It's just a beautiful detail. And that compassionate, gravity-defying dance? That's just one of the 64 divine miracles of Shiva, collectively known as the Thiravilya Dal. When you walk through the Meenakshi Temple today, you're not just looking at old stone walls. You're seeing these 64 miracles depicted as vibrant, intricate murals stretching all across the ceilings and corridors. For the people of Madurai, these are absolutely not just dry historical texts. They are living bedtime stories passed down from generation to generation, keeping the magic of the city's origins totally alive in the minds of the youth today. Okay, you have to hear one of the wildest bedtime stories from those murals. It's the legend of Manikavachakar. So a 9th century king sends his minister with an absolute fortune to buy horses. But instead, the minister meets a guru under a tree, who, plot twist, is actually Shiva in disguise. And he spends the entire fortune building a temple. To save his devotee from the king's wrath, Shiva sends a herd of splendid horses. But at night, the horses mysteriously shapeshift into howling jackals. The furious king orders the minister tortured. Then, suddenly, the Vaigai River violently swells, threatening to drown the entire city. The king panics and orders everyone to build mud embankments. Well, there's this old lady, too feeble to work, who offers sweet putu to anyone who will help her. Shiva appears as a young lad, eats the sweet, but then just lazily sits around doing nothing. The angry king strikes the boy with the cane, and instantly, every single person in the kingdom, including the king himself, feels the lash right on their own back. Realizing the boy was Shiva, the king begs forgiveness and the floodwaters finally recede. Now, you might be thinking these sorts of miracles only happened way back in ancient times, but this magic actually captivated a 19th century British official too. Enter collector Rous Peter, who took charge of Madurai in 1812. Now, he was famous for his surprisingly fair administration of the Meenakshi Temple. Legend has it that one really stormy night, a little girl appeared in his room, took him by the hand, and led him outside. Seconds later, a massive lightning strike reduced his entire bungalow to ashes. Convinced that the little girl was the goddess Meenakshi herself, the profoundly grateful British collector donated a magnificent pair of gold stirrups, absolutely studded with rubies, to the deity. He became so devoted that when he died, per his strict final wishes, he was buried with his face permanently turned toward the Meenakshi Temple. And just to prove to you that these traditions are very, very much alive today, Rous Peter's ruby-studded gold stirrups aren't just sitting behind glass in some dusty, forgotten museum. They are actively used. Whenever goddess Meenakshi is brought out to ride her horse in grand processions during the temple's modern festivities, she actually wears the very stirrups gifted by that British administrator whose life she supposedly saved over 2 centuries ago. It's literally history and myth continuing to ride together. As we wrap up this explainer, we see a Madurai that has flowered into a modern city complete with booming IT parks and special economic zones. Yet, it still so proudly wears the fabric of its ancient myths, from its Zoroastrian weavers creating highly prized textiles, to millions singing Carnatic songs of a fierce warrior goddess. It really leaves you wondering. In a modern world so completely obsessed with hard data and rapid progress, is the true secret to immortality simply a really, really good story? Thanks for exploring the magic of Madurai with me.